Okay, we're on to a new unit. We're going to discuss animals in depth. This might hit home to some of you guys because there's some tough things going on with what we do and our actions that cause some harm to animals. So let's go on. The title of the unit is Endangered Species and I believe Threatened Species as well. So first of all, before we get into that whole part of it, we want to talk about the biodiversity. You're going to hear that a lot, especially when you get to high school and you are in biology. There's an entire unit devoted to the biodiversity. Biodiversity is kind of the variety of life. So when you think about and you take a look out, and I live kind of up in the mountains, so I can look out and I can see biodiversity just as I look around. So when you think of all the different species of insects and animals and fish and you name it, plants, all of those things are encompassed in the biodiversity. You kind of get overwhelmed that you can't even imagine how many different species there are. And that's a great thing because really, I have to say most everything, except I hate wasps, but most everything has a specific, basically reason why they exist. They play some role in kind of the circle of life, and so to speak, okay? But let's talk about kind of some reasons why we might think plants and animals, the biodiversity is so important. There's an intrinsic value to many people, okay? So many people argue that plants and animals have value simply because they exist. Not because really of anything else, but because they are there, they're living, species, they have value to us, okay? So those are a lot of the people, and there's nothing wrong if you have that strong intrinsic value of just loving life, okay? So you see a plant, you see an ant, you see something that may be minor, but it has a purpose and it's living. So that's the intrinsic value that many people see, okay? And therefore that kind of leads people to want to protect that biodiversity. But then a lot of people focus on the instrumental value, okay? This is the value that comes from all the different things we use plants and animals for, the services, right here. It says the numerous services that the biodiversity provides us as humans. Jobs, food, paper, textiles, recreation, tourism, and so many other things. Medicine. I think in your unit it discusses there are so many different plants that have different things that we use in some of our treatments for different diseases, different vaccinations, and so forth, okay? So there's a lot of value to animals, but sometimes it's thought of in different ways. Sometimes you have a little bit of both. I myself have a lot of both because I definitely love life. I'm a nature person and I love seeing all of that, so I don't want to see it destroyed. But I also know that plants and animals definitely have a use in our lives. They help us tremendously. So let's talk about the types of biodiversity. There are 3 different types. And again, remember, the variety of life is what we are talking about with biodiversity. But let's break that down further into 3 different types. We have species diversity, which is like all of the different species that exist. We have, like I said, who knows, thousands upon thousands of different species of insects, and that's just one little type of species, but that it's so diverse. So basically, species diversity is talking about all the different species that exist. Okay, that's kind of crazy to think about, right? The genetic diversity is the genetic variation. So when we all look at each other and we see differences in each other, that's genetic diversity. You are unique, and so is every species. Okay, so basically you have the different DNAs, you have the different genetic traits that make us all diverse. Okay, and then ecosystem diversity, the different communities and kind of the different, not necessarily, it can be cultures when we talk about humans, but when we talk about other species, it's a lot of kind of their habitat and where they live and what makes up that ecosystem that makes it diverse and allows for the diversity of the, all the species and all the population on this earth, okay? So those are the different types of biodiversity. But then we come to extinction. And you guys know what extinction is. You've heard that. Basically, a species dies off and they're gone forever, like this lovely, good old T-Rex, okay? We'll never see T-Rex again. Right now, we don't even have the ecosystem and the habitat that would support that, type of a creature. But basically, once it's died off and it's extinct, it's not going to come back, which is kind of a bummer thing when you think about, like, we always kind of like, oh yeah, dinosaurs lived long ago, and can you imagine if they still existed? My daughter loves the show Prehistoric Park, and if you guys have ever watched that, it's where they go back in time and they actually bring back kind of like a modern Jurassic Park. But they bring these species of dinosaurs back and basically create a habitat for them in this present time. And it's just interesting because we don't even know what, we know a lot about those species, but at the same time we don't know what it's like to live with them. So basically, when we have extinction, we have a loss of biodiversity. Okay, that's what happens when you have extinction. Now, extinction can be a normal thing, a normal process that happens, but over the years, the extinction rates are going skyrocket. Okay, because basically the things that we're doing, which I'll talk about in a little bit, are causing the endangered species and the extinction of species to basically go on the rise. So it's kind of a sad thing because of some of the things we're doing, we're causing extinction that wouldn't normally happen. So let's talk about threatened and endangered. What does threatened and endangered mean? A species that's called threatened is when it's still abundant in its natural range, okay? But because of the declining numbers, it's likely to be in danger of extinction within several years. So there's lots of different animals that are on this threatened and endangered list, and you can look up lists. These just show you in different parts of the world. You have the cheetahs, the tigers, the pandas, and so forth in different parts of the world that are on that threatened and endangered list, that the numbers are declining so much, okay? And if you notice in your units, you got to keep track of why that's happening. It'll show you there when you click on those pictures, or it shows you different pictures of these endangered species, and it says habitat, basically habitat destruction, okay? Loss of habitat is a big way of saying that. So it's really a big deal, and some of the things that we're doing, that we are populating this earth and we're, taking down forests and using that to build cities and build our own things, and they have this loss of habitat. And so that is one of the main reasons why that you have species that are threatened and endangered, okay? So it says a species that's called endangered is when it has so few individuals left that it may soon become extinct. So first a species would become threatened with maybe a couple of years of, unless something's done, a couple years that species could be become extinct. But threatened and then endangered is where it is really close to becoming extinct. Okay, obviously extinct is there's no more that are there. Okay, so kind of interesting to think about. Take a look at that list. You'd be amazed. There's some animals that we see in the zoo that we're like, oh, so cool, but it's on the threatened and endangered list. So it's kind of crazy. So the causes for these threatened and endangered species are, and you guys get to know these, HIPPO. That's an easy acronym to remember. H stands for habitat destruction and degradation. So when we are taking down, a species and their habitat, basically they have nowhere to live, they can't survive, so we're destroying their habitat, okay? I is for invasive species. So if you have we've done this a lot and we don't even realize it, but we've introduced a species that starts to take over. So that's what we call invasive species. So whether that's a plant that may be kind of some noxious weed that is invading that habitat for other plants, that plant can become extinct as well. P is for population growth of humans. We're going to talk about this next unit in depth, the population, but that is a huge source of issues in many different ways. Think about, we're growing our cities, okay, we're expanding into some of these animals' habitats, but we're also needing more from these animals. We need more, we're hunting more, we're using these plants more, so the demand is huge when our population grows. P is for pollution. So any kind of pollution that we are doing to our different ecosystems is really causing some harm on these species. And then overharvest. So sometimes we're overused. Again, this kind of goes back to the population. We're overusing, we're overhunting, we're needing more, so therefore there's less of those species. Okay? So remember those causes, because those are things that we can do to help out. Okay, and I'll get to that the next slide. But so who's vulnerable? I want you guys to think about what are abundant. What species are super abundant? Flies to me seem like, okay, flies, come on. Really, we could use you to kind of decline in the population. I love this little cartoon. I thought it was kind of funny. It says, those opposed to extending Endangered Species Act. You have the humans, and then those in favor, and it's all the animals that are endangered. So I kind of laugh at this, but at the same time, we are responsible for a lot of this. And again, there's some natural processes that go along, but again, you know, these are things that, some of the things that we can control. So some of the things that are vulnerable, you know, we really need to watch out. Some of those, you know, species that aren't vulnerable, those aren't the things that we're really concerned about, right? Those flies, those cockroaches, yeah, exactly. So ways to save. Make sure you're educated. I'm educating you right now. Here are the reasons why the hippo, you know, why some of these endangered species are becoming extinct, why the extinction rates are on the rise. Protect habitats. Take action. So you guys know what to do, but you guys need to really work to take action and, you know, not support things that are decreasing that habitat and increasing that destruction, okay? So we want to really make sure. So the last thing I want to show you guys is, of course, ending with a song. This is actually a student, I believe, and I thought it was a pretty cute song. My girls love this song, so maybe you guys will enjoy it as well. By the way, listen to the lyrics.
We used your tusks for ivory, turned your home to debris. We polluted the sea, and now you're endangered. Overexploitation, habitat destruction, new species introduction, and now you're endangered. You could become extinct. Leopards, turtles, and the lynx. The need for protection is distinct. Save them before it's too late. Hey, you're endangered, and this is crazy, but you're few in numbers, and you need saving. I will stop buying those fur coats they make, cause you're few in numbers, and you need saving. Hey, you're endangered, and this is crazy, but you're few in numbers, and you need saving. And putting new species here is a mistake, cause they're few in numbers, and they need saving. We cut your habitat down to make more room for the town. A building stands there now, and we got in your way. We introduced a new species, exotic, you never seen it. It disrupted the balance, and it's in your way. You could become extinct. Rhinos, camels, and the lynx. The need for protection is distinct. Save them before it's too late. Hey, you're endangered, and this is crazy, but you're few in numbers, and you need saving. We polluted the water that you've always lived in. Now you're few in numbers, and you need saving. Hey, you're endangered, and this is crazy, but you're few in numbers, and you need saving. We destroyed the forest that you called your home. Now you're few in numbers, and you need saving. Endangered, vulnerable, and threatened, they're all at risk. They're all at risk. They're all at risk of extinction. Pandas, zebras, lions, and seals, they're all at risk. And you should know that they're all at risk. I will stop buying those fur coats they make, cause you're few in numbers, and you need saving. Hey, you're endangered, and this is crazy, but you're few in numbers, and you need saving. We've exploited your body parts for clothes and jewelry. Now you're few in numbers, and you need saving. Endangered, vulnerable, and threatened, they're all at risk. They're all at risk. They're all at risk of extinction. Pandas, zebras, lions, and seals, they're all at risk. And you should know that. Yeah, they need saving.
I thought that was awesome. So whoever did that, yay, bravo. But there you have it. Let's take action. Let's think about the things that we can do, because only we can kind of help things out. So there you have it. We'll talk to you later.